Okay, let's get going here. Let's go ahead and update you on the Family Life Center, which is our new building. I thought I better mention it because it is relevant to this meeting for several reasons. Let me go ahead and hide this control, get it out of the way. Great. It's the building behind the cathedral. Some of you know it's under construction, and some of you may not know for the last year and a half. First, let's see if we get this right. I had 2 years we were home because of the pandemic. And then we went back in the office for 6 months. And then now for a year and a half, maybe half the time's a little wrong, but it's been over 4 years now. But anyway, I'm back home. I'm home working like as I'm here now. I'm home. But I'll have an office. Everything goes right within the next 4 weeks. We'll be on the third floor. I actually get an office again. The Family Life Center is a just completed over 40,000 square foot, 4-story building behind the cathedral. Here are the important events that will affect us here. I thought I'd list them here that are coming, that will be in that new building. And we are working on streaming as well for those who are away from town. We will have a method for you to stream us. But people who are up close, we're going to really encourage attendance. I probably will record it and not stream it live. Sessions to assist students with the transition from high school to college. I'm going to have 3 sessions like that, 1 special parent session. Students will be eligible for a sponsorship dollars. If they're members of West Andros already, they can get additional sponsorship dollars when they go away to college. We don't use the term scholarship here. We call it a sponsorship. We want to sponsor those that come to these sessions and that attend. So attendance at these sessions will be a requirement. Now, of course, if people attend who are out of town, we'll work out something for them. I said that we may be streaming for them anyway, but I want to have good attendance at the sessions for those who are getting money from the program. We're waiting for some grants to see how much. So we're really excited about that. We'll say more about that later, about the qualifications for those grants. I think my people are going to have some other things they want to do for you as well. They had recommended in previous years. So we'll have more about it. But the point of this is that we're going to have those sessions in the Family Life Center. May through June, they'll be May through June, those sessions are May and June. The main sessions I want you to remember and think about is, get this thing out of the way, are This Ain't High School with Dr. Corliss Bennett. She's formerly of USC in Humboldt. She now runs her own nonprofit. She's an expert in preparing students to succeed in high school and college. She'll do a session on July 13th. And of course, July 27th, we'll have a ceremony. And we hope the students can come and be present for it. It'll be in our Family Life Center in the chapel. We're really excited about that. And that's a beautiful facility. That's a beautiful venue as well. All right. So I want to make sure I brought you up to date on that. Some of you had asked me about that. All right. Let's get into this. Should you enroll in a college without visiting? And it brings up an interesting question of who should visit. Are we talking to student? Well, I'm talking to student here. At least the student should have visited. But I think in many, many cases, the parents should visit. I think in quite a few cases, the parents should visit as well. It's very timely that I bring that up with all the national decision days being moved to January and May 15th. By the way, there are private schools that claim that their decision day is still May 1st. But I don't know how they can sustain that if they haven't given you a financial aid award. I'll have more to say about that in a minute. What about virtual visits? Some people say, well, I did a virtual visit. No, still the same answer. The campus is the people and the organizations, not buildings. I know you think it's buildings. You always see pictures of colleges, but a campus is really its people and its organizations and the feel of the campus. When you visit a school, you get emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically committed to the school students. When you don't, you don't. And it's like having skin in the game. If you don't visit a school, something goes wrong, after you attend, you're gonna want to come home. I see that all the time. But when you go to the school and feel it, you're kind of invested in it. All right. Some colleges will give you until June 1st this year. Check with the admissions office to see. Hey, Quinn and Brianna, are you hearing me okay?
Yes, you sound
Yes.
fine.
Oh, good. I feel a little self-conscious about it. It's that voice thing. I'm gonna try to talk a little lower because I get trouble with my sinus this time. You get to my throat. Remember, other schools may still use May 1st. I think I saw a couple of schools y'all told me about. They have the audacity to tell you it's still May 1st, but they haven't provided a financial aid award. I think that's a little disingenuous, right? I don't see how that can really be occurring, but I guess it could. So be on the lookout for that as well. You gotta get that. All right, let's go on. Only wait for a school if you're willing to travel to school. So like if you say, well, I'm going to be on a wait list or I'm going to wait, but make sure there's something you're going to get out of it. You're not going to travel to a school anyway. What are you waiting for? You need to visit the school to decide whether you're going to enroll. So you may have applied to a lot of schools that you're not going to visit. Like this is the slide where many people figure out, oh, gee, I think I applied to too many schools. It's very possible for that to be figured out here. Okay, let's continue. About visiting colleges, remember, talked about that. Only visit during the week on Friday or Monday. This is the whole idea. You want to be there when their students are present. You don't want to visit a campus when it's nobody there, just a bunch of buildings. So some people will say, I'm a visit during the break, during spring break. I guess spring breaks are almost over, so that's not relevant anymore. But maybe the school is not on break. That's fine. But maybe they're on break when you go. A lot of them take breaks next week. Some didn't even look at Easter. They set their break at the same time. Don't visit a campus during the break, even if they say they have tours. You want to really experience a campus when their students are present and staff, if you can. Only visit when they're present. Friday or Monday are the best days. No drive-bys. You got to visit the campus, do the tour. Always check with the admissions office and register and let them see that you actually came to the school and do the official tour. Don't just walk around. Get some structure there. It'd be great. So I said, well, I can't visit them all. I know you can't. So we ought to talk about, and we're going to today, one criteria you might use to decide if you're going to visit is cost. But you have to know what it's really going to cost before you start visiting and then supposing which one's more than the other. Also, meet students who attend the school. Now, you got to have your filters on if they're freshmen, because freshmen tend to, about this time of the year, the freshman year, sometimes they might say things to you that indicate, oh, wow, they don't like the school. I ain't going. It happens two times during the freshman year, right before or after spring break and right in the fall when they get there. But then they end the year up saying they love the school. So be aware about freshmen telling you their first impression of the school based on your visit, your meeting of the people, et cetera. All right, let's continue. How about only visiting colleges that you can afford? Only visit colleges when they're open, et cetera. Here are the organizations that you want to visit on your tour. Okay? People are still coming. That's why I'm pausing. Only attend a college that you visited and the ones that you can afford. No sense visiting a school you probably can't afford. You got the award and it's too much money. You might go there and love it. Now you're going to go into debt when maybe there were other schools that are just as good that cost less. Visit the organizations during your tour. Career Services, Leadership Development, Learning Support Service. These are great organizations to visit. How about this also? Visit the area around the college. How about that? Visit the area around the college. Now, I just thought about people who have very large college lists and you're trying to consider what to do. There's these last review graphs didn't seem big to you, but they're huge because they're telling you, these view graphs, that if you can't visit a school, right? If you can't visit a school, they're not in consideration anyway. So there's no sense to get too worried about it. You can only visit about two, maybe three of them. I don't know. Let's continue. Okay, I talked about that to 2 or 3. And you got to allow 10 to 14 days prior to your air ticket purchase because you don't want to pay $1 million to go there. We're getting down to the wire now, folks. It's April, April 7th, May 15th, June 1st, decision day. Some are still saying May 1st. Not CSU and UC, though. They're clearly later. All right, the college enrollment process and its challenges. I've talked about rejected applications, what to do. This is a review. Move to your other schools. Don't take it personal. Appeal if there's something wrong with the admissions data or the process. Otherwise, we need to find a way to get over it and move on. Other reasons are usually not approved. Let's go over that. Here are examples of the wrong application. So I've seen this. I have one this year like that. I just helped a student, and she's on here now, where there was something wrong. That's a great example. I hope that person hears me. The data was wrong. The student did take that course. It did take geometry or whatever it was. There's something wrong. So that's an easy appeal. In fact, some schools don't even call that an appeal. They say you're changing the data. Grades reported wrong. That's the first one. I just talked about that. Test scores were available. They were available and you didn't provide them. It was an optional school. You didn't provide the scores. They weren't reported. A serious error in the transcript is now corrected. I have another one like that. You're in here now, you're hearing me. Wrong student was reviewed. I've seen cases where there's fraternal twins or there's people with the same last name. They reviewed the wrong data. Twins, triplets, etc. Requirements change during the review. Sometimes the school's requirements change during the review. So these are objective reasons why appeals are honored right away. You might say, well, wait a minute, I really wanted to go. That's not up there. Because there's nothing wrong. It's just like an appeal for a court case. A lot of appeals are not accepted or thrown out or not accepted by the court. And they say, we'll abide by the lower court's decision. Because nothing's really wrong. Nothing was done wrong. Okay, let's continue. So these are great reasons for appeal. More about appeals. How about subjective appeals? You want them to reconsider you. A lot of schools like HBCUs and other privates and schools that are having enrollment issues might still consider you, and it's called a subjective appeal. After they've already gone through all the other applications, they might look at your appeal. This is a lot like a wait list, though, okay? It's very rarely approved and only after the decision deadline date. So if their deadline date was June 1st, they're not coming back to your appeal until after June 1st. It will be heard at private colleges only. You only see this at private colleges, a subjective appeal, because at state schools, they're going to come right back. No. You have to have a reason. In fact, they give you a form. Say if you can't complete it, you can't apply for an appeal. The best chance is that a school does not have enrollment yield. In other words, you think they're having some kind of issue with enrollment. They don't have enough students. Now, CSUs, for example, I think are going to hear a lot of appeals right away. If you didn't get to apply to a CSU, or you now want to go back and apply or get them to reconsider, I bet CSU will have to consider it this year because they got a lot of money coming from the state depending on whether they meet their enrollment goals. All right, admission acceptance information, deposits and payments. Deposits for admission or registration deposit is non-refundable, usually the first of 3 or 4 deposits or payments, okay? They're not refundable, and you'll have other deposits you'll have to make. Housing deposit, mostly non-refundable, But that's changing. That depends on the school. I give you a tip. If it's just a $50 or $100 housing deposit, it's usually refundable. If it's $500, $600, $700, a portion of it is refundable. Parent or youth orientation payments are usually required. Payments, deposits for housing and orientation are usually due right away. You should do it right away. Once you say, I'm going to go to a school, boom, right away, you need to do the housing and orientation. Financial aid doesn't pay for those things. Some schools like GW and Sonoma State combine the deposits for the orientation, the housing, and registration into one super deposit. $700, $900. Ivy League, I think, is $1,200. It's all one deposit. Schools are going that way more and more. Depositing into two schools, I don't think really should occur, but it should only occur when one is a desired waitlist college or the student actually has a good chance of more money from the school. But as I'll tell you, I don't know if I'll say it here, I said it before, I say you should go ahead and deposit to another school if you're on a wait list. And then you can be waiting for that school. You'll still have a school to go to. Because it's very rare. It's of course quite rare to be accepted from a wait list if a school actually has a wait list. All right. Are there any questions on there, Quinn or Brianna? Nothing out there? Nope.
Not yet.
All right. Initial cost for college. Your admission deposit. I talked about the housing deposit. These are all not covered by financial aid. The first 2 months of rent surprise people. Sometimes schools want that before you show up at the school. I think that's the case for most HBCUs. A lot of out-of-state schools, they want that 1 to 2, usually 2 months of rent before you even show up. The cost varies. I'm calling it rent, but it's the housing fee. Now, if you have a loan to cover it or whatever, as you'll see later, then you don't have to worry about it. CSUs will allow reduced income families to waive most of these deposits. So check with your CSU if you're going to CSU and you have issues with the deposit. Plan to attend the orientation. Don't mistake the yield visit for orientation. The yield visit is the visits they're doing right now. They call them open houses. For example, on April 25th, we have one for Bakersfield that's being held in West Angeles. At our cathedral, we're going to have an open house for Bakersfield. That's a yield event. That's not the orientation. You can tell it's the orientation by when it is. Orientation visits are usually not until June through August. That's when the orientations are. If it's in May, I should say July this year. So if it's in May or April, it's probably as before the decision date is for them to introduce the school to you, and it's called a yield visit because they want to yield students who are going to enroll in the school. So they call it a yield visit. It's usually mandatory for youth and oftentimes parents. The orientation is. It's going to be mandatory for one of y'all. So start planning on it. Usually I like to see families go to the orientation in the summer. It's a good idea. I usually go to a couple myself. Usually costs $200 to $400 plus your travel. Remember, financial aid doesn't cover any of this. Remember to do it more than 2 weeks before. Registration for classes begins usually at the orientation. Advisors and departments visits are visited. Students usually overnight on the campus. These are things that happen at orientation. All right, what do I do about waitlist colleges? Make all deposits make your deposits for another school. Do all your deposits, your housing, all those deposits for another school. And while you're waiting, don't pay a dime to the waitlist school. Don't even get housing there. Start planning to go to orientation. Now, if the waitlist school comes back, fine. You can go ahead and make a move and get them going. You can get some of that stuff refunded. You can't get the registration deposit refunded, of course, from the school, but you get most of the housing deposit back. And in some cases, the orientation deposit. Do not expect to hear, as I said earlier, positively on a wait list, especially if you're waiting for an appeal. If you do hear positively, it could be late. There will be reduced institutional financial aid grants and scholarships at that point. At that point, if you get into a waitlist school, you're not going to get any merit awards. The money's probably gone. Wait lists can be as difficult to accept as a rejection, but they are another form of rejection, really, because the first pass they couldn't admit you. I just wish they get rid of wait lists. If you're getting that feeling from me, you're getting the right vibe. As a man who supports kids going to college, I don't like to see wait lists. I think it's difficult on parents too. While you're waiting, try not, well, waiting not only for the wait list, just waiting. Try not to be stressed. Students on this program always end up where they grow and prosper, it seems like, if you're active on the program. Parents, remember, at the end of the day, it's the student, not we parents, who are attending the college. Students, remember, it's your parents that will pay for college, even if you're fully covered or nearly covered for direct costs. So you got to work together because the parents are paying. Check your portals, emails twice a day, students, especially CSUs. Look for scholarships to cover the indirect costs. We'll talk about that more later. All right, let's get into this. Important financial aid definitions. What is financial aid? People say, "Do you get any financial aid?" Well, usually parents say it. What they mean is, did you get any scholarships and grants? I think is what they mean. I don't think they mean loans, but unfortunately, that is a part of financial aid. Federal student loan is $5,500 for the first year. It's part of the financial aid package. It will be listed on your financial aid award. Somebody said, "Well, I don't want loans." All right, it's fine. You don't have to, the students don't have to accept loans, but that means the parents have another $5,500 to pay. Parent loan for undergraduate students. But I don't want to do a parent loan. Well, we'll look at that a little later. And then you have Pell Grant, which is a maximum of $73.95 this year. They just raised that, so my view graphs are a little off in some areas. Federal Work Study, institutional need-based grants, institutional academic, athletic, or artistic merit awards. These are straight up money. But you'll find out in the work study, it's not going to go to the tuition. It's going to go in the student's pocket because it ain't much. We'll talk about it later. So that's going to be your free money. The rest of that stuff, the top two bullets, are loans, and they will be listed on your financial aid award. So we say financial aid, these are the things we mean. You might not, I'm not going to take any loans. Okay. That means you just have to be prepared to pay cash, as they say. Many people will tell you at work or wherever, they got a free ride. Every time I looked into free rides, other than if they're with the Questbridge program, every time somebody told me they got a free ride, including athletes, I'll get to that in a minute. When I look into it, it's not a free ride because there's loans. If you have loans, you don't have a free ride. Some people say that's a free ride, but it's not. I still like to see my first free ride, though. I don't think there is such a thing these days as a free ride. Unless you do Questbridge, that's a free ride. Even athletes, because most athletic departments require the student to get a student direct loan to hold on to the money for travel to games when they're on the road and traveling. That has to be covered. Somebody say, "Well, I'm going to pay cash for it." Most athletic departments have been burned by that. They don't want students to be hungry and not have money on trips. Even if you're going to pay, they'll make them take out a direct loan. And it's going to be in the scholarship letter that they sign. Just thought I'd bring that up. What is relevant financial aid? Ooh, it's a term I created, and you'll see what it means in a minute. What is relevant financial aid? This is what relevant financial aid means. It's this same list you saw a moment ago with the parent loan crossed out and the work study crossed out. Why do I cross out work study? Because you'll see the last bullet on the bottom. I don't think students should plan to work the first year. That's another pressure for them to find a job, parents. If they find a work study job, it doesn't pay that much anyway. They can work on campus and make more. How about waiting and get a job on campus after the semester starts or next semester? You'll see why I said that in just a moment. Why did I cross out the parent loan? Because when you do the work I tell you to show you how to do today, you might find out the parent loan is less than you thought. We're going to do some work today on how to read the financial aid award, And I hope I can make that point very clearly. In case you're interested, here's why federal work study is not relevant financial aid. Number one, it's so small that it becomes spending money. It's not really going to go to what I call the direct cost of college. It's not going to take care of that. Okay? It's so small. Students can make way more for less hours at other campus and slightly off-campus jobs. Hey, Brianna, are you hearing this?
Yes, I'm hearing it.
I never asked you this before, but it seems like the week for me to ask you things I never asked you. Hey, listen, did you ever work a job while you were in college?
I did, yes. I had an internship while I was in college at the Cross Cultural Center. I didn't have work study, but my sister did that went to Stanford.
On your internship, did you ever work a work study job?
No, but my younger sister that went to Stanford, she did.
Ask
I
her
think she
one.
worked in the library.
Ask her for me how much money she really made. I bet it
Okay,
was.
I'll
I bet it was $7 or $8 an hour.
yeah, it was probably very small, but I mean, it helped to an extent. But not a lot, but it did do something. I think it probably gave her some spending money, like you said.
But you made more at your cultural center job.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I was only working like 10 hours a week, but I think I probably made maybe a little bit more money probably than her.
But it was spending money, right?
Yes, it definitely was spending money.
You didn't pay tuition with it?
No, my parents actually, I was fortunate that my parents paid my tuition for undergrad, but grad school was on me.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Quinn, I don't even remember what you did. Should I just forget
I
it?
worked at my cafeteria at my school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was humbling. But I got to eat as much as I wanted, and it did give me a good amount to spend or what I wanted to spend at, like maybe a coffee or something if I wasn't on campus. So it was
What do you
good.
mean? We
Had
didn't
pocket
make you
money.
pay. We didn't make you pay any tuition with that.
Oh, maybe.
I don't think so. I think it was all taken care of by the home base. All right. All right. I just thought I hadn't asked you that either. All right. Let me go ahead and finish up here. All right. EEP does not recommend students work their first semester. Why? The priority is to meet lots of students and make friends. You have a social requirement to meet people and get connected with your campus, not to work. Parents, I know you think it will help. It's not like when we went to school, parents. When I went to school, college back in ancient times, it was so low. I could work. I was working McDonald's. I was a shift manager at McDonald's, paying part of my tuition. But school costs much less then. Some of these people you meet will be your future roommate. That'll save lots of money, parents. They get a roommate next year, that's going to save you a lot of money. You may not need a parent loan. The more time you can bond with the campus the first year, the more likely you are to finish college in 4 years. I can't believe I didn't put 4 years there. All right. So that's why I don't recommend work study. I know a lot of you think, well, they're going to work. Well, let's let them get connected because this is going to surprise you, this number. And I should have did a view graph on it. Maybe I'll do a video on it. It will shock you. But at this point in time, only about 54% of students actually finish college in 6 years. No one's talking about that number, but it's higher on our program. But nobody's talking about that number, but it's a problem. I think something like only 47% of middle class finish. Okay. Other important financial aid definitions. What is the direct cost of a college? It's the costs that are on the bill or otherwise called the fixed costs of college. You can't really control these. They're fixed. They're on the bill. The tuition and mandatory fees, the housing, and you got to eat. Those are the mandatory things that'll be on the bill. All right? It's on the bill. It's a direct cost. It's a direct cost of college. Okay? Also health insurance if you have to get it through the school. Most y'all will just keep them on the same insurance. What is indirect cost? It's everything else, right? Books, travel, spending money, technology, all that. A lot of y'all think that's part of the bill, but it's not. Because you know why? Those are, number one, they're very controllable. Listen closely, they're very controllable. For example, books are controllable because you're going to get books on time, they're going to be used, they're going to be digital. You may even have to get a book for a course. I'm going to discuss that when we get to our life confirmation sessions. You know, the books are not a major thing. Look, no one ever came home from school because they couldn't afford it because of these indirect costs. That's never the reason. Travel, because you're going to travel relevantly. You're going to plan the travel. It's going to be you're going to find out parents, you're going to do it the cheapest way possible when you're bringing them home, flying around the country. Spending money, not as bad as you think. We just talked about you can work part-time for it, maybe next semester. Well, you're talking 40, 50 bucks a week. I think that comes out of your household operating budget. Technology, computers are bought on a one-time basis. May use the same computer they just got. Other technology, same way. All right. So also third-party scholarships can take care of indirect costs. But the heavy lifting, the reason why students come home because they can't pay for college is the direct costs. It's those direct costs for college. All right, what will I owe for college? That's a big question. Well, it's going to be the relevant financial aid, which is the student direct loan, and the institutional grants and scholarships. Again, I hear somebody thinking, well, I don't want my student to have loans. Well, that's fine. 92% of my students do. And Deacon Wilson thinks that students should pay something for college. Listen, if they can't do their direct loans and pay a $300 a month loan for 3.5 years when they leave college, then why'd they go to college? I mean, there should be things being done while they're in college to make them marketable and able to get some work or several things they can do to take care of themselves. Anyway, so I count the direct student loan. Otherwise, about $5,500 the first year, extra money you have to pay for college. A lot of you having to take out loans anyway. Then you got to do more, make your loan even bigger. No. I would say if I were you, I'd say miss me on that. Institutional grants and scholarships. Those are your relevant financial aid. Notice the parent loan is not there. Minus the direct cost. Let's look at that again one more time. It's the relevant financial aid. Remember, we talked about that a minute ago, which is the direct student loan and the institutional grants and scholarships. Minus the direct cost. I have an asterisk on the direct cost to remind me. You might wonder, how do you find out what the direct cost is? I'm going to get to a view graph where I'm going to show you how you can go to a school's total cost and not be confused and pick out the direct cost. I'm thinking about Philip right now. Hey, Philip, you don't have to answer this. You know why I thought about you, right?
Because we were talking to you about
Yes.
What were we talking
financial aid costs.
Yes. We had a conversation about what direct cost is and all that. But we also talked about some other things too, but you know what I'm saying. A negative amount means that you owe for college. So if you're financial aid, you take away the direct cost, you get a negative number, that's you got to pay for college. And we're going to look at examples in a minute. You better believe we are, because that's what the financial aid award is. I just thought about this. What the financial aid award is, you guys, is this right here. That's all they show you. In fact, if you're not careful, you won't be able to see that. They don't tell you this all the time. Some schools do, but they do it out of place, so you can't kind of get it. I mean, I saw LMU did a good job of telling direct costs. I believe it made one of my parents faint. I hope she's laughing. I don't know for sure. Hey, Phil, is she laughing?
No, she's not.
Oh, okay, but you know what I mean, though.
Yeah.
But at least they tell you, right? All right, let's continue. All right, reading the direct cost. I'm going to have to get in here and stop the share for a minute. And I'm going to share again. But this time, if I do it right, and I think I will, I'm going to show you on here. Oh, how do I do? I'm going to stop. I got to stop the share. That's right. Hold on. This way. Do it this way. Okay. Stand by. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to actually go out there. I'm going to use, let's use total cost of University of Southern California. Let's do USC. Cost of attendance. Now I'm gonna share this with you again. Let me share it with you. Here we go. All right, so all I did was I Googled University of Southern California total cost of attendance. And in the case of University of California, they only have 21, 22. So what I have to do is go 2024, 25. How's that? And you find out that the total cost of attendance to USC is $95,000 to be on campus. I have to tell you, I didn't realize it gotten this high. $95,000. Does everybody see that? Now, first of all, is this Brianna? Did I share that right?
Yes, you did.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So how do we get from this to direct costs? Well, we look at the tuition, right? Look at the fees, about so it's $70,000, over $70,000 tuition and fees at USC. Then we look at the meal plan and the housing, which is about $20,000. So it's about $90,000 in direct costs to go to USC. We have to know the direct costs of any college before we actually even get to the financial aid award, because a lot of these schools do not tell you that. Or they only tell you on another document, like they tell you when they give you the merit award, but not on the financial aid award. I need you to know what your cost. And this one here, as I look at it, this was 23, 24. Okay, yeah, this is 24, 25. A lot of schools don't have 24, 25. Let's look at total cost of attendance. Now let's Google it. Total cost of attendance. Let's look up. Oh, here's one we might know and love. This is a shout out from one of my buddies out there. University of Riverside. See, I'm thinking about you out there. I don't want to say who it is. Maybe you can tell me you acknowledge it or something. I don't want to say it for everybody. Okay, 2024. Let's see if they even have it online. Because sometimes they don't have it up yet, which I think is a federal violation of federal law. So here's UC Riverside's total cost. Some people will think, oh, we just want to know the tuition. No. The direct cost is tuition, room, and board. But every time I hear people talking in the media, they'll say the tuition to go to a school is so and so. The tuition, you know what? I throw like a light slipper at the TV every time. That's misleading. We got to look at the cost of attending. All right. So we look at the total cost. Okay, so here's one where they only have, this is a good example, everybody. Riverside does not have the 24, 25 up yet. They only have 23, 24. So I'll buy into that. Which is scary because these could go up. And I think because of the food inflation, now I'm noticing this year, you all, that food is way higher than I've ever seen it. So room and board is very high. Like, look here, tuition and fees, 13,000. Housing and food, 18,000. That's really 19, right? This is really 14. So it's $33,000. Somebody said, well, Deacon, books, transportation, personal. Well, see, those are not on the bill, everybody. Those will be paid off during the year. They'll be amortized out of your paycheck during the year, right? They're not part of this calculation. Let's be fair to the schools. It's the direct cost. So this school, I missed the fees though. 13,752 plus 1169. That's about 1,200. So that's about 1,200, about $15,200 maybe. And then the housing, about $34,000 to attend Riverside. Direct cost. The direct cost. So that's kind of how you do it. I want to be sure that we know and have a good feeling for how to Google these schools and find out what they cost, what the direct cost is, what the direct cost is going to be, folks. I want to be sure we can do that, okay? Because that's an important first step in being able to determine, oops, sorry about that. That's an important first step in being able to determine what the direct cost of a school is. Now I got to bring it back up, right? Okay. All right. Now we're rolling. Okay. Any questions on that before I go on? Any questions in the chat? Help me out. Nope, none.
Not yet.
Sometimes I guess you do these things, you get clearer and clearer every year. I don't know. Maybe that's what happens here. Okay. Now I gotta go through all these again, right? So, no, I don't. Okay, so I do have to go through them again. So that was the direct cost. Now we're there. Okay. All right, so we read the direct cost from the website. We know what the direct cost is. We know how to get it from the total cost. And now we're ready to get into how to read a typical financial aid award. Here we go. Here's ABC University in 22-23. I've been using this example for a couple of years, but it's a good one to get you started. And I have some that are more with updated numbers we'll go over too if we have the time. I think we will. I'm looking at my time. I do. All right, so 22-23. Here's how the award's going to look to you. It's over to the left. Now, what I've done for your convenience, over to the right, over here, what I've done is, let me get my marker out. Bear with me here. I got a lot of tools I'm using here today. Here we go. All right. Here it is. Okay. So over here to the right, everybody, is the financial aid award. Okay? It's usually divided in semesters. You have the totals on the bottom. For some reason, they never total it up over to the right. Although in the examples I show you today, it will be. And so what we want to look at now is, therefore, let me get this bar away, is the relevant financial aid based on that. Well, the relevant financial aid, if we look at this closely, is about how much? It's the student loans, which is $5,500 when you add these up, $2,750, $2,750, $1,500. It's the Pell Grant. This example was $6,500, right? It's the university grant, the trust. So basically what you want to subtract out is the work study and the parent loan. So you take out the $9,000, and we should have something like 13,000. I'm sorry, we take out for each semester the $9,000. We have about $13,600 per semester in financial aid. Now over here, the cost of the school in this example was less than that. It's actually less, because look at the direct cost over here to the right, everybody. So over here to the right, tuition dorm fees and all that. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. All that stuff over there is about $12,290. So this is a good deal here. So we're going to look at this in a minute and see what we owe. Let me get this here. Got to erase that. Okay. All right, let's go to the next slide. Thanks for bearing with me. It's a little tedious here, but it gets the job done. All right. Okay, so again, I remind you, we're using that model, right? So let's look at this, the second example here. In the second example, we have a parent loan of $19,500 per semester. Okay. Wow, almost $20,000 per semester is in the parent loan, right? So we should really look at this thing without that parent loan first and determine how much of a loan we really need. The relevant financial aid here is basically this number 38 subtracted by 19,000. So look over here at the cost of the school. The school costs $79,000 because it's $39,500 per semester. So you can see here, if this school costs $79,000, right? And we're only getting 38, we're going to pay $41,000 for this school. Let me show you those numbers again. Make sure you see it. Hold it here. Okay. So that right there and that right there are reduced by about 20,000 each. So if we take 20,000 off each, this is 18,000 really. This is I'm doing a rough estimate here. This is 36,000. You could say it's 37,000. It's fine. But look what you got to pay for the school. 79,000. So that's going to be a pretty large parent loan, or you're going to have to come up with cash for part of it per year. This is about $42,000 per year for this situation right here after the financial aid. Okay? Just want to give you a good idea on that. All right. Any other questions out there? Let me see how we're doing out here. Sister Sandra said,
Not yet.
Sister Sandra said, we're listening. I guess that's what's happening here today on this. All right, let's go ahead and clear that. Get into some more deeper examples here. And you should work these out on your own. Now that you know how to calculate it, I was going to put these numbers in, but I decided that may be something that's a good kind of homework assignment for everybody to kind of see and feel how to read the financial aid award. Again, to remind you, it's going to be the relevant financial aid minus the direct cost. What's the relevant aid? It's the direct student loan plus the grants and scholarships. Don't include the parent loan at first. And here's the trick, parents. You need to do the same calculation, the same way. Listen, for each school. Now, I have, for people who've attended this meeting and won it, I have a nice little template I did in Excel for you just to put in the numbers and see. But you need to use the same criteria for each and every school. Don't change for one school was your favorite. Do the same analysis and find out what you're going to owe for every school. I mean, that's what you would do if you're going into a store. So you want to do it with these colleges. Here's some more typical financial aid awards. Now on mine, I put a totals column over to the right, okay? Maybe that's what you should do first, is total up those columns. Here's a typical CSU financial aid award for a family that's making, say, above $80,000, that's going to send a student to CSU, which is probably the most cost-effective four-year college. Again, if you have okay, there it is. So here's what it's going to look. It's going to be basically loans, student direct loan, and work study. $8,500. But remember, we don't count the work study. So really it's $5,500. So here's the calculation down here. Your relevant financial aid, $8,500 Actually, I got to subtract out the $3,000. The relevant financial aid is $5,500. Okay? But the only time you can really say I'm going to count the work study is if it's a real job and if they've already adjusted the first semester. And I think that could happen with a local school. So say if you're going locally to school and you're going home, then I think that's a good example where you could do some local work. But really, I want students to bond to the campus. The estimated cost of the school is $5,500 minus the $26,800 in this case, because that's the direct cost of the school. See it listed here. It's all listed here. Means you're going to owe for this CSU, a typical one, $21,300 for people who are making too much to receive any kind of university grant from the school. Reality, you may get a small one. If you're above $140,000, you may get a small grant. That could happen, right? And that could make this easier. Now, Sister Cherie, go ahead.
Sister
Cherie?
Okay, sorry, I was trying to unmute. So, Deacon, I noticed on this example, it did not have the parent loans. Is that something that is the parent loan not always on these financial aid awards if you're over a certain household income?
Now, the federal government under the Obama administration passed a rule that they should never list parent loans. But you're going to see a lot of schools violating that law this year. The reason why it shouldn't be there is because it's for you to figure out how much of a loan you need based on the calculation of what you owe.
Okay, got it.
I think it's a little presumptuous of schools that list I'm going to show you one where I'm going to show you one in a minute that happens all the time. People say, oh, I got a free ride. But then I look closer and go, wait a minute, the parent loan's on there.
So this is really what an example looks like if you're over like kind of that threshold. I think you mentioned this was like $80,000.
Yeah, 85,000. Yeah.
Okay.
I think you might get a few $100 more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Somebody else is asking me a question, I believe. Speak right up. Wasn't there somebody else had a hand up? I thought it was. Maybe not. I guess not.
No hands up.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I heard a voice tell me I don't have one. Okay. Typical financial aid award. Here's the second of three. I believe the second of three is what I did. Yep. Here's one with high financial need. The last one was low financial need. I don't know if I listed that. But high financial need. This is what we would see on a typical financial aid award for CSU. Go see a direct student loan. Notice everybody gets one of those. You're going to see a Cal grant, university grant, / you're going to have a Pell grant. You're going to have a SEOG federal grant. And you might have work study on there too. Probably will if you're in high need. That's going to be $24,100. All right. The relevant financial aid, I'm still going to stick to the rules, is $21,100. I know it looks like it's covered everything, doesn't it? But really, it's only $21,000. So actually, there's $4,500 owed when there's high financial need. Now, what happens? What happens in those situations typically is my dorm fees that I have here are for the most expensive dorm. Usually, they give it up in dorm fees, or they take out a small parent loan. I don't know if I have trouble with that, or they get a little scholarship or something, or there's something that happens with other things that may occur. But normally, it's pretty close to covering everything, but there's going to be a little gap this year. Now, some schools will make that up with university grant. It doesn't always happen that way, though. I can't stress that enough. It doesn't always happen with additional university grant. I think it may. I'm seeing that the budget won't be cut as much this year, so probably will. But anyway, I got this for you to know how to read it. Not so much to say what you'll get. This is not a guaranteed award, but this is how to read it, okay? You read it without seeing the work study, your first pass. There is no parent loan on here to take off. Moderate financial need, still no parent loan. Moderate financial need, you're going to get $13,000 in relevant financial aid. Look down here in the red. On the bottom, please, everyone. Minus the $25,600, you're going to owe about $12,000 or about $6,200 a semester, or about $500 a month after all your deposits you'll be paying for college if you have moderate financial need in the state of California. Okay? But this is a good example of how to read it. I'm showing you how to read these more than anything else. How about a typical selective private college this year? As you see, it's $84,800 in aid, and 84,000. This one right here is word for word right from a major private college in the state of California last year. You pick up your financial aid award and you go, oh wow, everything's covered. I got a free ride. No. It's pretty good. It's pretty good though, but it's not free. You have a parent loan, first of all, that has to be subtracted to get the relevant aid of $76,900, right? But you're going to owe $84,800. So you're going to owe $7,900. Now, if this family showed me this award and I knew anybody at that school, or I could work with this family, since you have high need, you probably can get more money from the school. But if you don't have high need, it's going to be harder. I am going to talk about that toward the end here today. Okay? Again, I'm concentrating today on how to read the financial aid award. I'll be done for time. Pretty decent, not bad. Low financial need basis. You look at this and again you say, oh wow, it's a free ride. Well, on further review, looking very carefully, notice I purposely put the Cal Grant with nothing. Because our Cal Grant in the state of California, if you don't have any financial need, you don't get any Cal Grant. Or it's small relative to the cost of the school. If you made $200,000 in household income, $250,000, $260,000, doesn't seem like a lot for California, but you're not getting a Cal Grant. Or if you are, it's so small, it's not really, in the spring you'll get something. The direct student loan is there, but look at the parent loan, $32,000. Parent loan. So you look at this example, you're going to owe $35,000 for school. Again, going with relevant financial aid. Again, take these graphs, print them out. Use that when you're reading the financial aid award. Let me check in with my buddy, Akeisha. Akeisha, are you there? Akeisha,
Yes, I'm here.
is this making sense at least?
It does.
Great. I'm so glad.
It does.
I always get worried that I'm not coming through here.
It
Clearly.
makes sense. I wish I had a full ride and owed 7,000. That'll work, but that's not my test.
Right. That's right. Good. You're getting the memo. Good.
I get it. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. So why do we have federal loans, you might wonder? I think you can kind of see now, don't you? Because it's making up the additional cost for school. Let me move this board out of the way. We're almost done here. Why do we have loans? I've covered this before, but I think it's going to have more meaning now. Need-based federal and state grants plus the merit scholarships is considerably less than the direct cost for college. So even after your scholarships, even after your need-based aid, there's going to be what we call a gap. And that gap is filled by loans or cash. The dashed blue line is the gap. So you're trying to pay off the blue box, right? The blue bar. What we're saying is that free money doesn't cover all the costs. The relevant financial aid, even with the direct student loan, doesn't cover all the costs. So that's why we have loans. Here's a loan example for HBCU, for example. This is typical for a family making greater than $50,000, according to line 11 of the 2022 federal tax return. Pretty much all of it's going to be loans and cash for HBC or private HBCU. Again, I was clever enough to put up to 3.5 GPA. I think if you have a super high GPA, you may get some merit award. Okay? You may get a small one anyway, right? But we're talking about what's typical with loans. Now, I did not include the loan table for the parent loan today. I probably should have. I can't believe I didn't. But if you email me, I'll send you the loan table. So you can look and see what you owe per month. And it's, it gets up there in cost. If you have a HBCU that's, $40,000, right? That's $160,000 if they finish in 4 years. You're going to pay back $200,000 because of interest. So $35,000 to $55,000 a year is typical. Here's loan example number 2. Right? If the income is less than $40,000, that's good. You're going to have that orange amount that's going to be Pell and other need-based grants, but you're still going to be $35,000 to $55,000 a year in cost, depending on the HBCU or the traditionally Black college. I should have said traditionally Black college as well. I shouldn't have only said HBCU. And then CSU, we talked about greater than $60,000. You pretty much are going to pay for CSU. It might be higher now. That number is probably more like 75, 74,000, but pretty much you're going to pay. The good thing is that CSU doesn't cost as much in direct cost. There's another loan example here for a family that's reduced income. As I showed, as Sister Keisha and I were talking a minute ago, the one that's free ride but not much, there you go. There it is right there. Okay. So basically, you're going to take the student loan. I mean, that's going to be something that's going to really cut that cost out and make that 79 even lower, Sister Keisha. Private colleges, we talked about that one. It's all over the ball yard. You can look at that one. We looked at it before. All right, now we did cover this, so I'm going to go on. There's some things I want to tell you about housing. We kind of covered this already. Oh, no, we didn't. What will happen at the orientation is different. Students learn all about the campus. There it is. It's mandatory for CSU and UC. You can be disenrolled from a CSU or UC if you don't make the orientation. And I've seen that happen. It caused a lot of tears, and you can be disenrolled from a CSU or UC if you do not make the orientation, and the student at least. If you call them and tell them beforehand, they'll provide for you. There's a residential life and agreement. It's a contract. I have a lot to say about their residential life contract because you're signing up for behavior stuff and everything. Food, campus activities and organizations, social opportunities. You learn about that, learn about the food. That's funny. Learn about academic departments in life. You meet some professors. Course registration begins normally at the orientation. Parents will learn about how and when to pay. Parent organizations on campus also, health services, deadlines, how you pay for college, all that's going to be at the orientation. Now, campuses will put out videos for parents who don't make it, but parents try to make the orientation when the school is selected. What do you need to know about housing right now? I call this Housing 101. There's a lot more about housing I want to tell you, but especially students, but I'm not going to get into that today. Process steps. Deposit for housing no later than the decision day. Hey, if you know where you're going, do it now. Do it early. Some schools don't have as much housing as others, but this year, a lot of schools are going to have plenty of housing because everybody agrees, all experts agree that enrollments are going to be down this year. Deposit not later than campus decision day. Students sign a residential agreement. It's a key moment. I'll talk about that later. That needs to be discussed, what it means to sign that agreement. You pay your first housing payment. Some of these schools will send you the housing agreement. Once you deposit, you get the housing agreement by email. You pay the first housing payment. Almost all times it's before you get your financial aid. Sometimes it's a very high amount. The monthly payments begin when the financial aid runs out. So if you never get enough aid, then you owe it right away. Now, if you get aid they get a loan, you cover it all, fine. The parent loan will cover everything. But then if you have, say if you have financial aid and it's not enough for the whole semester, where you first begin to see it is all of a sudden you have to pay for your housing when you didn't before because the money runs out. That's why you want to resolve at the beginning of the year how you're going to pay for college. Okay. What about food? It's paid for at the same time as housing. This is why I'm bringing it up. Generally, the options are 7, 11 or 14, or 21 meals per week. Right away, parents, you're going to think, oh my God, my child needs 21 meals a week. Spoiler alert, start low and then add to the food account during the year. Because they're not going to eat 3 meals when they leave your house. They're going to do what we call grazing. These students are going to graze. They're probably grazing already. I think 14 or 11 works. If you're still worried about, do 21. But remember, if they don't use that, they lose it at the end of the semester. I've rolled up to schools at the end of the semester. Kids are buying me food all day because they know it's going to run out. I'm eating good at some campuses. Okay, so I think 14. Some say start even lower, just continue to add to the food card. There's a card they get on account. You can keep adding to it. And that way you make it not a fixed cost either. You save a little money, parents, on the direct costs, right? You pay for the food maybe every couple of months when you see how it's being used. Because they'll be able to get food in different places on their food plan, sometimes even places near the campus. Students will not sit down for 3 meals per day. Meals are not used are lost for good. I just said that. Many campuses have other eating options on campus where they can either use their food card or get the meal way reduced. They also have places where kids can pay cash plus use the card. That's a new thing. Like local businesses say, hey, you can use your card here, and you can pay less for your meal. Excuse me. So I said 7, 11, 14 add when needed. What about registration? Process begins at orientation. Parents, there may be some frustration because you can't be involved. It's the student and the school because of FERPA. I have a lot more to say about FERPA another time. That deserves a separate discussion. It'll take at least 3 or 4 view graphs. But basically, it's a federal law that says the school only deals with your student. Students learn how to register, and then they often forget how to register. Smiles. That's why I'm here. They usually call me up. That's how I know. Treat your advisor like a true advisor, not your life director. Don't make these advisors into dictators and tell you what to do. They're advisors. You come in there and you tell them what to do. Here's a good example. Here's some general ed classes. Watch this. That are needed and previous in which students have done on my program. Let's take a look at this. Art history. These are some classes students have taken that have done well on and they got college credit for and everything. These are also the group of classes they can take in the summer before they go to school. They should take courses this summer. I mentioned that before. I'll talk about that again another time. Art history, intro to sociology, intro to psychology, blah, blah. You can see them all there. Come to orientation with these on your list, right? And you tell that advisor the classes you're looking for. These are the ones that Deacon Wilson said you could use later in your school life and you'll do well. And you'll do well in these courses. The one I don't have listed is speech. I think an intro to speech class is very important. I think that's one I would take also if I could early on in my college life. Because class is going to make you get up and do presentations. If you're nervous, it's not going to work. That's a good functional class as well. Notice what I don't have on here. I don't have any elaborate philosophy of Russian, whatever, or I don't have any weird classes on here. They're all straightforward. I don't have, intro to advanced, Arabic or something here. I don't have that here. I have classes that are just straight up that you can get credit for. Here are the classes most schools require in the first semester. Could have some kind of writing course, Intro to University Life. And the reason I'm covering this, parents, is there's some schools like Grand Canyon, they're trying to get you to register now. There's another school like that too. I don't think anybody applied to this year. But it's good to start thinking about it. Some kind of upper math if you're an engineering student. By the way, engineering students and pre-med students, you should take biology and calculus and biology this summer. Calculus for engineering students, or pre-calculus if you never had it. Definitely take it this summer. Biology or chemistry, why not take them this summer, one of those two? And that way, if you don't do well, you've learned what a college biology class is like. So you're not shocked when you get it. It's a shock that it's not like the high school class. Intro to business majors, and general ed courses from the previous slide, okay? Please take 16 to 18 credits per semester, there's an example, so that you'll meet satisfactory academic progress. More to say about that another time. I want you to have 2 to 3 GE classes this summer. Start thinking about that right now. All right, have a little alphabet soup to end things up. SAP, satisfactory academic progress. Students must have a cumulative GPA of 2.0 and 12 credits per semester. That's why I said make sure you take 16 to 18. Take some classes in the summer to make sure. Some of these schools might try to help you and only give you 12 credits. That's not helping you. You take more than 12. You need 15 credits a semester, or actually a little more, to graduate in 4 years. GPA of 2.0. Now, I used to not mention this early, but I do now. Progress checks for a degree will occur every year. You need to make 75% progress towards your degree after your freshman year. What happens if the SAP is not reached? You go on probation. Hopefully your cumulative will be 2.0, 24 credits. That's 2 semesters. If not, you're going to have stop out. You're going to be put out of the school. I used to not mention this stuff, but I have to mention it. And once I started mentioning it, it's rare. Isn't that interesting? And this points out the importance of our preparation classes we're going to have in May or June, including the session. This ain't high school, because they don't play with you in college. Ain't nobody playing with you. That's what my mom used to say. Ain't nobody playing with you. Students, I hope you heard that. They're not playing. No later, those little late assignments and stuff, they ain't playing. After stop out, when a kid stops off from school, 95% of them will not return to their first campus. They never get back. So that's the importance of our sessions that we have coming up. Alphabet soup, FERPA. I am going to talk about FERPA for a second. I'm not going to get deep into it. It's the Family Education Rights Privacy Act, parents. There it is right there. The students own the records, the parents pay. Let me get this straight. In high school, the parents own the records K through 12. Schools don't like that. And that's why they try to do stuff behind your back. We got parents. Anyway, never mind. I can't stand when they do that. But anyway, K through 12, the parents own the records. But in college, I don't care what, if they're 16 or over, the students own the records. That can be a little frustrating. I have a lot more to say about that. Student transparency is needed big time. Before that FOPS is filed next year, you should know the grades for the first semester, parents. You do have a lot more to say about that. Colleges will say a student can waive FERPA for grades, but grades are not available till spring. So you won't know what they did. There's got to be transparency. Remember, they own the records. That gets us over to HIPAA. I call it the FERPA. Look, it's the Health Whatever Something Act. Here it is. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 96. It basically says that the students' health records are private. They own their health records. The parents pay for insurance. Now, you can do things to get around HIPAA a lot easier. But we'll be talking about this too. And actually at the orientation, all the schools talk about these. Student transparency is needed on this one too. If there's medication they need, like they have asthma or something, diabetes medication, mental health issues that they have when they leave the city. We need student involvement, and I'll teach your student to be open about that if they come to my sessions. HIPAA cannot be waived. Actually, now that I said that, I just told you you can't waive it, but there are ways around it. A lot of schools will help you get around it. Hint, hint, I can show you little tricks. All right, that's all I have for today.